Hello again. If you haven't watched the first video on the homepage of this wiki, my name is Alicia Morera and I'm an advisor for the GSA, standing for Gay Straight Alliance, here at Goldsboro High School. We are in Goldsboro, North Carolina, about an hour southeast of Raleigh. And I wanted to start with a video on this section of the wiki to talk about starting your own GSA. GSAs are typically a student-run organization. Students are the ones who go to their school to get permission for starting it. They plan meetings, they decide what their goal for the GSA is going to be, and they're in charge of also finding faculty advisors and making sure the administration is with them 100%, because that's the most important thing. In this instance at Goldsboro High School, I went to the administration myself because I was seeing all these students that were part of the LGBT community that felt like they had no one to talk to, or they didn't know other people who would understand what they were feeling. So how do you start a GSA as a student? Although I welcome other teachers and educators to use this video as well, because you shouldn't just wait for a student to come up with that courage, because maybe they don't. A lot of students just need to have that push to find that courage in themselves. So what I have here are, I've printed out the 10 steps for starting a GSA. I found this on the Gay Straight Alliance Network, which is under the Educational Resources. I believe it's number 2. They're the national network for all GSAs in the country. First of all, you need to follow any guidelines. Look in the student handbook. There may be certain procedures for starting a club. You may need to make sure it follows any county guidelines or state guidelines. Some schools forbid any sort of non-academic clubs, and in this case, unfortunately, a GSA would fall under that category because it has nothing to do with academics. Number 2, find a faculty advisor. Every club needs a faculty advisor. Ours has 2. Our other faculty advisor is Mr. Brandon Robbins. He's our media coordinator at GHS, and he has just been fantastic. His energy is just wonderful. Number 3, inform administration. Don't do this behind the administration's back. That's the worst thing you can do. You don't want to surprise your principal or vice principal by saying that you're going to have a GSA meeting in this room. There can be some concerns about what you're going to talk about. Moving on to number 4 is to inform any guidance counselors or social workers that you have at your school. Guidance counselors and social workers, they see so many kids that talk to them about their problems, and they may know students that are interested and be able to talk to them in a safe environment instead of just sort of cornering them in the hallway or them having to see a poster and kind of take it upon themselves to come in. A lot of students just aren't that confident, and maybe talking to a guidance counselor or the social worker will help them be brave enough to come in and talk to other people about it. Number 5, there are 10 of these. 10, not 5. Number 5 is to pick a meeting place. Normally it's somewhere easily accessible. Students won't get lost if they've never been in that part of the school. Ours, we haven't had a meeting for the upcoming school year yet, of course, but it was either going to be, or it will either be in our media center, which is in the exact center of the school, so everyone kind of knows where it is, and that is where Mr. Robbins teaches, so that's like his domain. So either in the media center or in my classroom, which is a bit more out of the way. So if students are a bit more hesitant to come out, my classroom might be a little bit better, but it depends on your school's atmosphere. Being out in the open may be great for you to get more involvement and see what's happening, because you don't sort of want to hide in a corner somewhere, because then people might wonder what you're up to. But again, it all depends on the atmosphere of your school. So number 6 is to advertise. And most importantly, bring food. People are more likely to come to the meeting if there's food. Sad to say, but if you're in a high school, middle school, straight to their heart is through their stomach. And then number 7, of course, hold your meeting. You can put out posters beforehand. There are great resources. Just Google GSA or LGBT posters, and you can edit it using simple downloadable free programs off the internet. That's what I've done. I'm not very tech inclined. But I was still able to do it and just advertise. Show people that you're proud of this club and you're not going to hide, without at the same time sort of pushing it in their face if they're not open to it. Let's hope that changes, but if not, it'll be fine. Establish ground rules. You may just be there as a support group to be able to talk about things. You may want to go out into the community and help them, or you might want to advocate for LGBT rights and things like that. So sort of establish your ground rules, what's going to be happening at the meetings, what you plan to accomplish, and let everyone have a say in what's going to be going on. Ground rules also include how you will address certain topics and still be polite and respectful while doing it. I know I have a few transgendered friends who use the opposite pronouns. I have a friend who was born with no reproductive organs at all. So I refer to them as they because I really don't know what they are, if they're male or female, and they don't know either because they don't have that defining feature about them. So little things like that you might not think about, but could sort of rub people the wrong way if you get it wrong. If someone identifies as a female and you keep saying him, might upset them. Not a good idea. So number 9, plan for the future. What's your action plan? What's going to happen? Say if you're a senior and you start this GSA, what's going to happen once you're gone? Who's going to take over the role after you? So plan out your administrative roles. Who's going to be president, vice president, treasurer, recorder, things like that. So you don't want it to sort of fizzle out once you leave, or once maybe interest in it dwindles. So plan ahead. It would be wonderful if this continues for 20, 30, 40 years in the future. Maybe they won't need it 40 years in the future. I would love it to just be another thing like black, white, Hispanic. We don't really care. And number 10, but no less important than any of the rest, are register your GSA. Go to the GSA National Network. You can just Google that. It's also under the educational resources, and you get to register it in your location so that other people can see what's around them. It's a great way to network. I know I've contacted several other GSAs in North Carolina, just asking them, you know, hey, what are some good ideas? What else can we do? We're in this sort of environment. What's the best course of action? And they have been just absolutely wonderful. Beyond that, have fun, change people's minds if you need to, and just create a community. That's the number one thing in all of this, is creating a safe space for everyone to talk and be who they feel like they are without being afraid.